No, don't do that. You got to cut it to the white meat. Cut it to the white meat. So... Hey guys, welcome back. I want to thank all my subbies, okay? And I want to thank all my newbies checking me out for the very first time, okay? So I felt compelled to come in here really quickly and just touch upon like some of the basics as far as hair care, okay? And getting our hair back to health. Now, I just thought of, well, I'm going to talk about 3 of the basics as far as what's important to me. I know a lot of us are doing triage as far as getting our hair back to health, whether it's damage from heat, neglect, or just never having had the right type of regimen to really get our strands to where we want them to be. Yeah, so with that being said, we got to build on the right foundation. Okay, so I'm just going to go over 3 points. We can go over 20. I'm sure there's like 50 or whatever, but I'm not going to get into the minutia of all of that. I'm going to stick to the basics, okay, and 3 that really stand out to me. And number 1 is that we got to start on a good foundation, strong foundation, which means you got to get rid of the dead ends. You got to trim your hair. You got to trim those ends. I know that for us, some of us who are trying to grow our hair long, okay, we can sort of be seduced by the length that we're gaining and, oh my gosh, it's getting to this length and oh, this. Meanwhile, it's thin, it's breaking off, okay, slowly but surely, because we're not trimming the ends. We're so seduced by the length and where we think we're going with our hair that it does not look healthy at all. The ends they're not looking good. They look chewed up, okay? They look torn up, okay? And sometimes we try and hide it by just, you know, slicking this down and this and that. No, that's not going to work. We got to trim the ends, no matter how hard it may be for you, because me just growing my hair back in, you know, hair doesn't grow in all at once, all at the same length. It can grow in on, like your sides may grow longer and faster than this side or the middle. My issue was the middle, and I was trying to grow it, you know, back in, and I had just reached past shoulder length, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I would look at it, you know, because I like to put on a white t-shirt or just have it on my back, on my bare back, so I can actually see what I'm working with, whether it's breaking off or, you know, where it is in its length. And I kept noticing a gap. There was a gap that kept creeping up in the middle of my hair, and it was so frustrating. But at that particular time, being that my hair was growing in as far as from missing to having more strands, it wasn't breaking off, it was growing in, I had to sort of hold off on cutting it to the white meat. When I say white meat, I mean cutting it to its thickest point, okay? So I had to hold off a little bit. So in the meantime, because me cutting it up to this certain length or wherever the thickest part was, really I had no thickest part because my hair was missing, okay? So I had these gaps and, you know, my hair, okay. So anyway, so I had to hold off. So, but finally when it grew, all grew in, I chopped it to the white meat, okay? And I had to do that, even though, you know, you're gaining inches, but you're not gaining health. Your hair, if it's split, if your ends are split, they will continue to split. Ends don't just mend just because you put oil on it or whatever salve you think is going to help mend the ends. That does not work, okay? Because you can't get every end, and even with the ends, they continue to split. And once they split, if you split something that was one, if you split it in half, it becomes weaker. And that's when it breaks off. And it accumulates. You think that you're getting away with it. Like, I'll hold off, or I'll trim it later, or it looks pretty good right now. I don't need, no. Trust me, it's not going to work. You gotta trim those ends. You gotta trim those ends. I cannot say that enough. I mean, sometimes I've gone on Instagram and I see even hairdressers where they cut people's hair and you see these gaps, but they only cut like a little bit at the bottom. And I'm thinking, no, don't do that. You got to cut it to the white meat. Cut it to the white meat. Guys, you got to cut it to the white meat. I mean, trust me, it's so much better to do it now than having to do it later. It's better to do it now than to do it later. Okay? So if you feel, I mean, you're growing your hair in and it seems to only go to this point or whatever, you gotta cut it to the white meat. And I'm gonna show you, I'm flying some pictures of what I'm talking about. But when I finally did that, when I finally cut my hair, I felt so much better. Yeah, I felt like I wasn't gaining any length at all, which I wasn't. But it felt, and I know this is gonna sound strange, but when you cut your hair to its thickest point, it's gonna seem, it's definitely gonna look healthier because it is healthier. You're getting rid of all the dead ends that are basically draining your hair of its nourishment, you know, look-wise. I know this is really gonna sound strange, but when you cut it, it's gonna seem longer. Ooh, I know that sounds really crazy. You're like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Trust me, when you cut it to where it's thickest, it's going to not only feel healthy, it's going to look healthier. Therefore, it's going to look longer. Not longer than where you cut it off, but it's like there's potential there. It looks like there's potential. When you see dead ends and broken off ends and straggly hair, it doesn't look like there's any potential there. Does that make any sense? But when you cut it to the white meat, it looks like it's ready to grow. Therefore, it has potential to grow. Because guess what? It does. Okay? So you got to start with a solid foundation. And a solid foundation means healthy ends. Okay? So it can grow. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, we got to find the right products. I know that it takes time. Okay? It takes time to find the right products. It's a lot of trial and error. And just because mama and them use those particular products doesn't mean that it's going to work on your hair. So you got to individualize your regimen and use products that work for you. And you know as soon as you wash your hair or condition your hair, if your hair feels like straw, it's not working. If your hair is constantly breaking off because of whatever, I guess, heat, you know, protectant you're using, and it's not working, okay? And some conditioners, I think, are too heavy. I think sometimes we get so caught up into moisture and moisturizing our hair that it really weakens it. It makes it so soft and so open to breaking because there's no resilience there. It's so soft and so mushy. I don't want to use the word mushy, but I am going to use the word mushy. It's just there's no retention. There's no resilience there. And so when you comb in and you're brushing and this and that, it easily breaks off because there's nothing there. It's almost over moisturized. I know to a lot of people that doesn't make any sense. How can you but you can over moisturize, okay? And along with finding the right products, we gotta have the right technique as well. So you may have the perfect conditioner, but maybe you're leaving it in too long, you know? Or you may have the right hair serum, but your iron is too hot. It's too high, you know? We gotta find and figure out the right balance and have the right techniques that basically correspond with the right products. It all works together hand in hand. It all works together. So with that being said, we gotta find the right products. I can't tell you how many iterations my regimen has gone through. I mean, I've tried products here and there, and some that have worked, some that have totally disappeared from the shelves. So I had to find something else, but I found them. And now that I've found them, I have some holy grails, and I really have some products that I'm in love with, you know what I mean, that really work with my hair, give it shine, give it sheen, helps it to feel good, therefore look good. And that's what we need to do. And I don't want you guys to feel discouraged. Some of us, it's going to take a little longer than others, but when you know, you know. Okay, just like any relationship, when you know, you know. And this is no different, okay? So, yeah, we got to find the right products. And don't be scared to go outside of your circle. Everything does not have to come from the beauty supply store, okay? It doesn't. You may have to go online and find these products. Get recommendations from other people that you see that have hair the way that you want to have hair, as far as the length and the health. And when you do go to a hairdresser, if you do go to a hairdresser, look and see, look over your shoulder and see what they're using. You know, some hairdressers are kind of tight-lipped, but I've met quite a few who don't mind letting you know what they used on your hair, whether it's condition and this and that, and heat protectant, and how long you should use it, and what temperature they have the iron on, and this and that, and so forth and so on. So ask, you know, you're paying your money. Say, hey, what's that conditioner you putting in my hair? Hey, what's that? That looks kind of good. What's going on with it? Ask questions. That's what I did. And I always watched what they were doing when I did go. I always watched what they were doing and seeing what they were using. And I asked questions, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? You're paying for a service, but at the same time, you should be informed. They should be able to tell you what's going on and what's going in your hair and how it works for you and why they use it on your head, okay? So that's the second thing. I really wanted to touch upon that as far as getting the right products. It's a journey, but that's the whole point. That's the operative word. Journey to find the right products, because you're worth it. You may have to pay a couple dollars more. Well, I'm used to paying $5. Well, you may have to pay 10. You know, if the $5 product isn't working, the 10 may. You know, let's do it. We're worth it. Invest in your hair, especially if this is what you're trying to do. Don't work against yourself. Don't sabotage yourself, okay? And the third thing that I want to mention is be consistent. We have to be consistent, okay? If you wash it, now I know that sometimes schedules do not permit. Things happen and you can't wash your hair every 7 days on the dot. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, be consistent as far as getting your ends trimmed, as far as using the products that you found and implementing everything that you learned. It's just like with a plant, okay? Certain plants are more sensitive than others, but every plant responds to a schedule. They like sun during the daytime or whenever it is, which is usually during the daytime, but they like sun. They like to be watered. Some are once a week, okay? Some are once a month or whatever, even though, no, we need more than that. But every plant needs a schedule. That's how they grow and they thrive. You water them. You make sure they have sun. You make sure they're in the right pot, you know, because some can grow too long. And if you keep them in the same pot, you know, they can feel crunched up and their growth is stunted. Same thing with hair, okay? It's good to implement a regimen, a scheduled regimen, okay? We have to be consistent. We have to keep our hair clean. We have to keep our ends trimmed, and we have to find the right products, okay? But we gotta be consistent. We gotta be consistent. And trust me, once we become consistent and implement these three things, along with other things, again, I'm just doing an overall. I'm not going into every sub-bullet point. I'm doing the overall. So with that being said, that's really, in my opinion, that's how we should be focusing in on strength versus length, okay? Strength versus length. We'll get the length if we got the strength. Hello? Okay. We're going to get the length if we got the strength, okay? So that's what I want to come in with. And yeah, so, and I want to encourage everybody, okay? Because I know some of us have been on this hair journey longer than others. It seems like forever. It seems like you just can't find the right products. It seems like you've watched over 200 videos and you see people cut their hair, or you see people use, you know, pomades and serums, and it hasn't worked for you. And how come this shampoo isn't working? Well, it worked last month. Now it's not working. I understand. I've been there. I've done that. And now I'm back again. Not as far as the regimen, but feeling like I'm back on this path. I'm back on the road of, okay, now I got to grow my hair again. I'm back on it with you. So I just want to encourage you, okay? I just want to encourage you to not give up, that it's going to happen. And yes, people often say, oh, it's just hair, it'll grow back and this and that. But I know what that means, okay? When you're on this journey, or when you're trying to look a certain way as far as your hair and everything like that, and it seems like things are falling apart or not coming together. I get it. I get you, and we're going to get this together, okay? And I mean that. So please stay encouraged. We're going to do this. We're going to find the right products. Again, it may take someone else longer than the other, but it's okay. You're worth the discovery. You're worth the research, and you will have what you want. 2020, despite what's going on, it's the year of perfect vision. That's how I see it. 2020 is the year of perfect vision, and we're going to have that over our lives and every aspect of our life, including our aesthetics. If that's what your goal is, to get your hair together, then let's do it. Let's get out there and do it and have it, okay? So I just wanted to come in here really quickly and do a little cheerleading and do a little, you know, give you a couple of my points as far as how we can get everything together and build on a strong foundation. You know, I cannot say that enough times, because I feel like a lot of us are sabotaging ourselves and we're building on a weak foundation. We're trying to, you know, let this whole one-size-fits-all mentality apply to us. All of us are not going to have hair down to the tailbone, and that should be okay. We don't all have to be Rapunzel to be beautiful, okay? Because that's not the standard of beauty. But the whole point, as far as our hair, we want it to be healthy, okay? So strength versus length, okay? We're going to have the length if we got the strength, okay? So with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, okay? If you have any questions, you can just let me know down below, okay? But thank you so much, and thanks for dialing in and showing up, and yeah, I'll be back.